Hi, and welcome to another episode of whatever this is, our podcast on Russian football. It's a very loose intro because Artem has been terrorizing me with this song that I don't really like. So that's why we're starting off in this sort of weird way. But as you can see probably on your screen right now, we are on this app or this platform called Castbox. It's basically a podcasting app. It hosts a lot of podcasts. And you can even publish to things like Apple Music and Spotify from it, which we are going to attempt to do. Thanks for the support on our last episode as well. And this week I am joined by the one, the only, Artem. Artem, introduce yourself. How are you doing on this fine evening?
I thought there was going to be more than that. Like you started that like the one and only. I thought you were going to continue it somehow.
No, yeah,
And the Castbox intro as well kind of made it sound like we're sponsored by them. We should be,
yeah.
but we're not.
Get in touch,
So
Castbox.
exactly,
Yeah,
you
get
know,
in touch.
with our average viewers of about 50, I think
Right,
you can really make some profit off us.
exactly. Listen, 50 is more than zero, okay? Every viewer counts. So, yeah,
Facts, they do.
yeah, there are podcasts out there that get zero views, and we are not one of them. We hope that we won't be one of them. Now, this week there's actually quite a bit to discuss because we've had 2 game weeks since we last recorded, and we have also got the Russian national team announcement, which we're going to discuss in a second. But let's go in chronological order. Week 4. I don't think there's anything to discuss in this week, honestly. Except for Krasnodar, which we'll get into just a second. Spartak beat Lokomotiv. Tedesco was very happy on the touchline, as he always is. Rostov won. CSKA lost to Rubin, thanks to a great goal by, I don't even know who scored, but a great goal from whoever that was. And Ural
I
lost.
think it was
Artem. Makarov, yeah, he is the top scorer of the league, which is fair play to him. Nobody knows where he came from, but he's apparently very good. Artem, did you watch any of these games, and do you have anything to say from any of these?
Yeah, I watched Zenit against Tambov, and then I watched Rubin against CSKA as well. Can I just say that just as we started questioning Leonid Slutsky, he's come out and had a fantastic week.
Yeah, he has an special shout out to Grant McCann from Hull City. Hull City is a club in England, for those who don't know. I don't know who will know that, but if you don't, their manager, Grant McCann, is a fraud, and we have an Hull affiliate of ours, Kai Conn. He told us to call out Grant McCann in the hopes that, Hull actually start playing well. They're in League One. So, yeah, hope Grant McCann can actually get cursed by us. And we are also going to diss another club and hope that they do better, which is going to be Krasnodar in just a little bit. Now, week 5, this week was very interesting. We don't need to talk about any of these games, the first 2 games, because nobody cared about them. Artem actually watched Sochi Tambov. Artem, break that game down for us. We actually watched both of them.
I did actually watch both of them. I don't know why. I assume I was just very bored. I don't remember what happened in either of them. Apart from that Naboa goal at the end of Sochi, he's also joint top scorer. Don't diss him. So yeah, I mean Sochi are on some run. They're unbeaten this season, aren't they? So far.
Yeah, they're unbeaten. Only Spartak and them are the only unbeaten teams.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. You actually Arsenal Kimki, that there was that massive miss from Evans Kanga, which you said had an XG of 1.01. That was the thing that stood out for you. Now, since we've gotten into Sochi just for a little bit, when they got promoted initially last year, their owner said that they want to get Europa League, and I laughed at them quite loudly. Do you actually think they can get Europa League?
Oof. I don't know. I kind of hope they do because it would be just interesting to see how they do in it. But I don't think their squad is high enough standard for the top 6 in Russia or top 5. But I think they actually might do it if they continue like this because, like we said, they're unbeaten so far.
Yeah.
Although a lot of their games haven't been convincing, they've been grinding at results, and if they can keep doing that for, two-thirds of the season, 3/4 of the season, there's no reason why they can't be up in those top 5 spots.
That's very fair. I want them to get relegated, but because their entire
I
squad
don't think they'll get, like, I think they already have almost enough points to stay up.
That's true. They already have more than what SKA Khabarov scored that 1 year.
Exactly.
But I mean, they're obviously not going to get relegated at this point. But I don't like them because their entire squad is made up of stimulus packages and foreign aid essentially. There's no player which we hadn't heard of before they came to Sochi. It's not like they're world class scouting or anything. It's basically made up of loans and fringe players from other squads. But let's see. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep this up over the course of the season. Rubin beat Ufa by 3 goals. Their new Korean star scored a banging goal. Fair play to him. Spartak won with a penalty against Rotor, which was people were debating whether it's a dive. And what did you think of it, Ram? Did you have a look? Because I didn't.
I mean, I took a look at it. Like it looked soft, but like I could see why the referee gave it. Like I don't think there's like it's not as outrageous as some of the penalties that have been or haven't been given. Like it's not that much of a. It's not that debatable.
Yeah. Rostov Ural 1-0, nobody cares. Krasnodar CSKA had a banging goal from Morrison. I urge everybody to check that out. It was a fairly dead game, but it did have a couple of decent goals. And then we come to the 2 games which sparked the most discussion online. We'll start with Dinamo versus Zenit. Dinamo won 1-0 because of a goal from a corner, I think. And it was a very scrappy game. I didn't watch it. Artem watched it along with another one of our friends. Artem, what did you think of this game? Zenit finally beaten in the league after almost a year, even though there were lots of long breaks in it. What do you think of the game? Do you think Zenit should be worried? Do you think there's cause for concern?
This is actually another thing that I cursed because the other day in my notes for this podcast, for things that we could discuss, I was going to bring up the point, could Zenit go the whole season unbeaten?
Yeah.
And those notes are in the bin now because, well, obviously. But yeah, Zenit just looked toothless. Like they really didn't have any great chances. They never looked like they were going to get back into the game when Dinamo scored.
Right.
It was honestly fairly disappointing. Like there was, and then in the last few minutes when we really needed a goal, to see Sutorman and Eurohin to come on. Don't get me wrong, I like Eurohin. He's scored a few very important goals for us, but he's not the type of player that I think is going to have that much of an impact in those last few minutes. And I don't know, it was just a disappointing game all around. But you know what? It opens up the league a little bit. It makes it a bit more interesting to watch. So I can't complain too much.
Yeah, it does open up the league a lot. There's a couple of teams around Zenit now. It's interesting you mentioned your notes because I also do a little list. And after Zenit beat Tambo, I just wrote Zenit unstoppable ? And that it's still written on my notes, but obviously we're not gonna have to discuss that. I agree. I think Zenit are very toothless. They don't have any quality on the bench. Driussi is injured. It looks like a big nasty injury. He might be out for 6 months or so. Couldn't walk, which is what Sergei Semak said. And
you know what though, looking at that injury when it happened, like it looked like he got kicked a few times, but it didn't look like there was any one moment where there was a serious impact where, you thought, oh, there it is, that's it, that's that moment. So I really don't know where that injury came from.
I don't know, and the CSKA fans were obviously very happy about it because they feel like Driussi got hit with a good dose of karma after chucking Fernandez with a ball, which Fernandez was gravely injured after that as well. Not really the same thing, but CSKA fans, not really much to say there. Now, this is a very small thing I wanted to mention before we get to Lokomotiv Akhmat. And the Zenit English account said Russia's national rugby team take the 3 points at the WTI arena. First of all, Artem, do you think they played like the national rugby team? Did Dinamo play like the national rugby team?
I mean, they had a few moments where there were rough tackles and stuff like that, but Skopintsov, he got sent off in that game. So it's not like they weren't getting what they deserved. Like they got the yellows, they got the red. Right. So I don't know, they won at the end of the day, didn't they? So whatever works.
Exactly.
I really don't have that much of an issue with teams playing rough if that's the tactic to go for and it ends up working. Yeah. As long as they're not fully breaking people's legs, they're not going in for Roy Keane tackles or drop kicks or starting fights.
Yeah. See, my issue isn't exactly with the caption. My issue is more with the fact that everybody on Russian football Twitter was talking about how Zenit are salty and how Zenit are losing without much grace. I'd just like to remind everybody that there is a club in this division that threatened to quit the league because they got a couple of bad calls against them. There are two teams actually. Ufa also thought that they can be big boys. Nobody cares about Ufa. They threatened to quit the league. Nobody's going to miss them. They gave us a couple of good players, but at the end of the day, they're not as relevant as people think. Spartak threatened to quit the league. Every single day we have more. We have a lot more salt in the Russian league than just a Twitter post. So I don't know what it is. I feel like every other team can lose with every other team can lose and be salty. Only Spartak fans have the right to be salty after their games, and then it don't. Just like to put that out there. Of course, if a call goes against any other club, Gazprom are buying the refs. Okay, that is also very important. People should keep that in mind.
I don't know. I think like that is a salty post though. Like it is.
It is a salty post, but we've seen a lot more salt and it's not been called out. Like people were into. People were.
Oh no, but Spartak salt got called out. Like everybody was like, "Ah, Spartak! Like what? Come on!" Like that was the first game of the season as well. Like I feel like salt gets called out quite a bit, and I think it should in this case as well.
That's fair. That's it. I don't mind that. I think just personally for me, the reaction to that post was more than the actual salt displayed. But moving on, we're going to talk about Lokomotiv Akhmat. Now, Alexei Miranchuk got injured, got like a hamstring injury. He's going to be out for a few weeks. And Kerzhakov said that he's going to be negotiating with Atlanta in the process, which is good news. But they lost to Akhmat Grozny, and I did predict that this would go Akhmat's way. It was a pretty interesting game, ended 3-2. As you can see, Akhmat went, I think, 2-0 up, and then it was 2-1, and then it was 3-1, it was 3-2. Interesting game. Lokomotiv looked quite toothless. Adair started. Lisakovic looked very good when he came. Artem, did you watch this game, and what do you make of Lokomotiv and Akhmat? What do you think of their chances this season?
I mean, I can't say I watched the game. Like all those three games, Ruben, Spartak, and Lokomotiv, they were all on at the same time. So I was kind of flicking between. Like whenever I got a goal notification, I'd go and check the goal. Like I was never really, really embracing any game in particular. But Lokomotiv didn't look great. Akhmat, they looked very good. A few very good goals in their aliens. First one, run around the lifts offside on the left. Good finish as well. Akhmat are doing very well this season as well. They've started well.
Yeah, they are, and that's the thing I wanted to mention, because if you look at the table, right, Zenit are still first, but there's only 2 points between them and fifth place, which is quite interesting. Now, I want to actually make a case for Akhmat Grozny getting European football, because they have a team that's capable of doing that. They have a good goalkeeper, a strong defense. They've got a load of attackers, Odise Roshi, Berisha. They've got a good wing back in Bogosavac. They've got a good manager in Talalayev. And I actually think that there's a chance that European football comes to Grozny next season. Artem, what do you make of that? Do you think I'm being a bit too reactionary, or do you think King Ramzan, is actually building a proper project down there in Chechnya?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised to see if they made a European spot, but at the same time, if we're talking about Dynamo have the chance at a European spot, Akhmat have a chance at a European spot, Sochi have a chance at a European spot, like that means we're taking away like either Lokomotiv or Krasnodar, CSKA, one of those teams, and like realistically, okay, let me say this right now. I think one of Sochi, Dynamo, and Akhmat will get into Europe this season, but I don't think all of them will, and I don't think two of them will.
That's right. You know what? Because Russia bottled in Europe last year, otherwise we would have had 6 European spots. If we had 6 European spots this year, I would probably put Akhmat as my favorites to get it. I'd probably think Rostov would drop out, or one of those clubs would drop out. But since we only have 5, it's a lot more tight and it's a lot more unpredictable. Now, here we're going to get into a bit of an interesting part. And Artem, I'm going to make a case right now for Krasnodar being frauds.
Okay.
And you have to defend Krasnodar, okay?
Okay.
Let's see how this goes. Okay, so Krasnodar, they drew 1-1 with CSKA. And they lost 1-0 to Ural in the game on the weekend. Now, I'm not going to make your case for you, but there were some slightly dodgy calls. If you look at the table, they are quite, they're 8th They've got less points than a few clubs. And for the past few years, Krasnodar, we always say, oh, you know what, they might actually win the league. On the opening day, they beat Ufa 4-0 with a couple of very good goals, and it looked like they might actually do something. Okay, but out of every club in the league, Zenit, Spartak, Dinamo, every single major club in the league has shown growth, except for Lokomotiv, who are going down, has shown growth apart from Krasnodar. Krasnodar, in my opinion, have stagnated. They have arguably the best squad, the most balanced squad, the most talented squad in the entire league. Yet they lose out to tiny clubs and they do horrible in Europe each season. And yeah, they're a pet project of Galitsky and they have youth and they have a very good stadium. But if they actually, you know, if they keep going on this trajectory in the next couple of years, we're actually going to count them in the group which contains Rostov and Dinamo and Rubin, and not in the group which contains Zenit, Lokomotiv, CSKA. They're going to, go down to the group below that, in my opinion. Now, I think Murad Musayev should be worrying about his job. I don't think he is, but I think he should be, because I don't see. Yeah, he's a young manager from the academy, whatever. But it's time there's actually some growth shown in that squad. They can't manage games. They lose out to teams that are far inferior to them. The squad is underperforming, and I think it's time we put Krasnodar on fraud watch and really scrutinize them. Now, Artem, you have time to defend and go against what I've said.
Okay. I think you're looking at it very short term. I think that a team can be, not great or unlucky over the course of 2-3 seasons. And I think Krasnodar, what was it, 2008 they were founded?
Yeah.
If you look at since then, the only way has been up. And it's only in the last 2 or 3 seasons where it's really started to level off. But where it's leveling off is in the top 3 places in Russia. And that is not a bad place to level off. They have gotten their base to build onto for the next couple of years. Football's not a short-term thing. Like, if they really want to be one of the dominant clubs in Russia, if they can get to that next level, they should be able to maintain it. They've got everything in place already. They've got the facilities. They've got the youth. They've got the academy coming through. Great players. They're going to be able to sell a lot of players for money. They're going to be able to bring new players in. I think you're right about Musayev. He's maybe not the best tactical manager they could get, but even then, I'm willing to give him more time. Like you said, they have one of the best squads in the league, and one of the reasons why I don't think they're doing quite as well is maybe the chemistry isn't quite as good as you'd get in a Zenit squad or a CSKA squad, for example. But that comes with time, and I think if, let's say, by 2023, if they still haven't won a league, then I'm willing to consider your point. But until then, I still very much see them as being a threat to become the biggest club in Russia.
All right. To round this up, I think your points are fair. It's not a short-term game, but I'm happy that you agree with Musayev, because I think he is probably the one thing which is preventing them from reaching the next level and becoming one of the biggest clubs in Russia, because they already have those foundations, they already have the stadium, they already have the squad, they already have the academy. There is no reason why that club, it's probably, along with Zenit, one of the best run clubs in Russia, and it doesn't have Zenit's financial resources as well. Their squad, I'd say, on player by player, is probably the best in the league again. But the only issue they have is on the pitch. They just, I don't even think it's got to do with the chemistry. I just think the tactics are not right, and they look disjointed. They look so in sync when they're actually winning games, but as soon as they go a goal down, it's all haywire. They don't really have tactics. They're spamming crosses. The players can't really play. I think they just need a better manager than Musayev. It's probably going to be hard to find a young, attacking manager like that in Russia. Maybe they're going to get a foreign bloke. But I just think it's time Krasnodar actually start moving upwards. And
Listen, I agree with you there, but at the same time, who are they going to get in, really? Like, you've got to find someone who's willing to take on a project, and a project that they're not willing to do over the course of 2-3 years. Krasnodar aren't looking to win one title and stop. They want to be up there with the best teams in Russia, the best teams in Russian history. Like, Galitsky is a fantastic owner. Like, he's put everything in place for Krasnodar to get up there with the top clubs in Russia. I don't think he's going to want a manager who's going to come in and maybe win one title and then fuck off. That's not going to work for Krasnodar. They need someone who's going to be consistent, and I think they'd rather be consistently top 3 than win one season, come 7th the next season, come 3rd the next season, and, yo-yo around.
I think, like you said, Galitsky is a fantastic owner. I just think, that's the main issue with them, is who are they going to replace Musayev with? Of course, Yuri Semin is available and he has a lot of character. If they find the right manager, if they find a bloke that's willing to take on the project, then I think Musayev honestly should be replaced. But now that
the thing is, it's an if you can find someone like that, and I don't think you can. I think there are very few managers out there that would be able to take that kind of project on.
I don't know. I think they need to find one, because I think of course, now that we've said this, I think Krasnodar might actually win the next 16 games on a row. But I don't really, because it's they underperform. Like last year as well, they had the upper hand against Lokomotiv in for the second spot. They could have gotten direct entry to the Champions League. That comes with a lot of money, and they bottled it in the last 2 or 3 games. And Lokomotiv are again in the Champions League. They're going to finish 4th. If Alexei Milanchuk goes, they'll probably not even score a single goal. I think they have grand ambitions, and they have all the workings in place to achieve those grand ambitions, but I think they just fall short, and Galitsky really needs to figure out where they're falling short. But let us know in the comments, or let us know in the comments or on Twitter or whatever, what you think of this debate of ours. Do you think Krasnodar are first? Do you agree with Artem? Moving on to the international break, which I hate the international break. I don't really want it, because we've had a nice streak of club football. The international break starts off after this weekend. Russia are going to play Serbia and, is it Hungary?
I think it's Hungary, yeah.
Yeah, Serbia and Hungary in the Nations League, Group B, whatever it is. Here's the squad. Now, Artem, what do you think of this squad?
I'm disappointed, but I can see why it's not what I wanted it to be. For those of you who don't know, the Russia squad, a lot of the best players in Russia at the moment are under 21s players. Yeah. So a lot of them have been selected for the under 21s Russian squad, which is fair because they're still trying to qualify for the Euros. But I don't see really the point of them qualifying for the Euros if those players can help us in the future and we can integrate them all into the team now, the senior team now. So I actually made the claim that the under 21 side could actually potentially beat the senior squad. And if you just look at the 2 squads, Anu, have you got the other squad on hand?
I've got the other squad on hand. Just a second. I could.
It's on my account if you were.
Yeah, just pulling that up in a second. But I agree with you. I think I agree with you saying that the under 21 squad could beat the main senior squad. So if you look at the under 21 squad, you've got goalkeepers. You've got Adamov, Maximenko, and Safonov, who I think are as a whole better than Guilherme, Zanaev, and Shunin. I don't.
They are 100%. There's no argument there.
Yeah, like these 3 goalkeepers aren't even the best 3 over 21 goalkeepers in Russia. Barinov and Dupin are both better than them. You can find other players. I don't see why Zanaev is still making the squad. Shunin is fine.
Yeah, Zanaev shouldn't be. Guilherme is there because he's been there. He's played in the big tournaments. Shunin, I actually understand. He's been very good. But I really, like you said, Dupin should be in there.
Yeah.
And Barinov should have a call-up at some point. But
yeah, if Barinov goes his entire career without a Russia call-up, that would be honestly disgraceful, especially when you've got
I feel like he may have been called up before, though, but he just didn't get an appearance.
I think he got called up for the Russia B squad or something like 6 years ago, which is still disgraceful. But
were you looking at that on Wikipedia?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, so on Wikipedia it only shows when you have appearances, but I maybe I'm wrong. Someone correct me, someone who's listening. But I think Barinov actually had a call up but he was the third choice goalkeeper, so he never actually got an appearance.
Mm-hmm. This guy's also saying Anton Mitriushkin deserves a call up. He's another very talented Russian
I don't think
goalkeeper.
he deserves a call up, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either.
He's without a club at the moment. But then
Yeah,
again, so is
yeah. We're going to talk about
Neustadt.
the free agents. In the defense, the under-21 squad contains Igor Diviv, who I think should play over Roman Neustadter or Kudryashov. You've got
100%.
Raskazov, Maslov, Krugovo has been okay. The midfielders are again, I'm fine with Bakayev, Zobnin, Golovin, Miranchuk, but you've got Maradeshvili, Kuchayev, Oblyakov, Glushenkov, Umiarov, Suleimanov. Utkin really deserves a call up. Utkin should be in this squad over
Utkin has been fantastic.
over Kuziaev. Oblyakov probably should be in the squad over Ionov. Mostovoy, I think Shapi, Lomovatsky, or Lisovoy, any of these players could play over Mostovoy. And
Yeah.
forwards, we've got Ivan Ignatiev, who I think is a fraud, and Fedor Chalov. And now listen, they put Evgeny Lutsenko in this, and Evgeny Lutsenko couldn't play the game against Hungary because he doesn't have a passport. And then yesterday, Evgeny Lutsenko got injured, so he can't help the squad at all. I think Chalov or Sobolev, who's not in any squad, and I think that's disgraceful.
I agree. Sobolev should be in that squad, especially if Lutsenko's coming out. But obviously there was that news that him and Dzyuba had a bit of a conflict, and that's why that's
nonsensical to me.
Materializing. Yeah, it's. I mean, you think two grown men playing for the national team would just put it aside, but we'll see.
Exactly.
I don't think Chalov's going to get called up just because he's already in the under-21 squad. I can't imagine they're going to want to shuffle that around too much.
Yeah, I mean, back to that Sobolev and Dzyuba thing. Sergio Ramos and Gerard Piqué, every time when there's an El Clasico, they're fighting with each other on Instagram or Twitter or whenever. But when they play for the national team, they play like two of the best defenders in the world. So I really think the national team captain should not, because it comes off like Dzyuba has, told Cherchesov or he's influenced the selection in some way. So Sobolev doesn't make it. And they're the same people. Sobolev is Dzyuba light. Their playing style, their haircuts to an extent, they're the same people. So I don't see why.
Is that why, do you think, that maybe Dzyuba's like, okay, there's this younger guy than me who plays quite like me. He might take my spot before I manage to break Kerzhakov's record for goals. I don't know how many goals Dzyuba's off that, actually. Can you check? Or will I check?
Go on.
1 second.
Let's see, you can get to it first. Let's have a race.
I'll race it.
On the Russian national football team. Kerzhakov only has 30 goals for the national team. That's crazy.
They have 29. Yeah, well, you've got to remember that the
Dzyuba only made 7 goals.
That's what I mean. So, like, that's really possible. Like does he want to break that record before someone takes his position away from him?
I think even if Sobolev made the squad, he would probably get 16 minutes in the Hungary game when Russia are 3-0 up. I don't think he poses a threat to the main squad. But do you think Dzyuba will break Kerzhakov's record? On a side note,
I mean, if you look at his goals per game, it's higher than anyone else on that list.
Yeah.
And especially if Russia are going to be playing against nation league teams, I think this is only in official games. Don't get me wrong, I could be wrong there.
I think it's.
Or is it on all games?
No, I think it's not for those weird charity games when clubs play against countries, but FIFA affiliate FIFA licensed friendlies, they count in these games.
Okay, well even then, I think definitely Dzyuba, if he can score 1 goal in this international break, he's only 6 goals away. There's a European tournament, he's going to be called up unless he's injured.
Yeah.
There's a few friendlies that we're going to play in the meantime, and he's going to be starting all of them because we're preparing for the Euros. Yeah. So, what age is he? He's 32 or something, Dzyuba?
Yeah, he's not that old. Yeah, I think he's Oh, it's
32.
just his birthday. Happy birthday, Dzyuba. He's 32,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jesus. Happy birthday 5 days ago. Yeah, so like realistically, even if he's in the squad for 2 more years, he should break that record.
Yeah, I agree. Now we'll just, do a slight detour to the transfers. Lorenzo Melgarejo, Spartak legend, is going to Racing Club. Not any, there haven't been any major transfers since we last recorded. This Popov-Polo's swap deal between Rostov and Sochi. CSKA keeps spending money despite being on the brink of financial ruin. For the past 3 years, they've just spent 10 million in the past 3 days on Bakhtiar Zaynutdinov and Bruno Fuchs. I don't really. Artem, do you have much to say about these transfers? Do you think CSKA might win the league in the next year? Probably. Do you think? Because I think they're building a really good squad.
They're building a really good squad, and they're also linked to that winger from Herenveen, aren't they? I can't remember
Yeah,
his names.
yeah.
But I mean, if they can fit all these players into their squad, into their first team, and they can all get them to perform, I don't see why not. I don't see why they can't challenge. They've got one of the best young teams in the league, so I definitely expect them to be up there in the next couple of years.
And speaking of, this is really good transition actually into our next topic. CSK's biggest acquisition this year has been the one, the only Mr. Adolfo Gaich. You can see him in his all his glory in his first game against Kimki. Now we've discussed Gaich, I think, in all four of our episodes. So I think he really should start listening to us at this point. But this week we had a look at his interview with Sport Express, which he did. I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. Now, Artem, again, we're gonna do a bit of a role play. Do you want to be the journalist or do you want to be Gaich in this?
uh, I'll be the journalist.
Okay, you'll be the journalist, right? So this interview is fairly nonchalant. They're talking about who his idol was and where he's from and whatnot. But at one particular section of the interview, it goes a bit left, right? This subheading is "Don't call me Führer," and that's already an eye-catching subheading. We're going to read off this entire segment of the interview. It's going to take 3 or 4 minutes, but it's fine. It's worth it. Artem, let's start. You're the journalist. Let's go.
Okay, I'm the journalist, and Hanu is Adolfo Gaich.
Yeah.
Okay, so this interview starts with, "It is known that South America has a fairly high crime rate. Have you encountered this?"
Totally normal question. Yes, you are right. Crime, especially in big cities, is a serious problem. I know this firsthand. Once in Buenos Aires, I was the victim of a robbery with a gun. Bad memories.
What was stolen from you?
They took the money.
The way this is translated is hilarious. I'm going to translate it myself. Could you have been killed?
I was
What it
in a
translates
taxi.
as is could have
Could have
killed.
killed. It adds to the funny of it, actually. I was in a taxi. The robber pointed a pistol at the driver and said, "Give everything you have. Phone, money." He sat next to me and witnessed the incident. Frankly, I was very scared. I was not personally threatened, but I was just in the car, worried. It was scary.
How many of your friends have gone on a crooked path, become bandits?
None. All my friends did. None of my friends connected their lives with crime. They settled down differently.
Why were you named Adolfo?
Good question. Thanks for asking. My mom loved to watch Polo. She liked the player Adolfo. She liked the player Adolfo Cambiaso. That is why she chose that name for me.
What are your roots?
On the father's side, my great grandfathers are Italian.
I love how he doesn't mention his
Yeah,
mother's side.
mother's side. No,
It's
no,
it's like
she's
we
fine.
don't talk about that one. We
Yeah, she's
don't
from
talk about that one.
Argentina. She's from Argentina. It's fine. She's Spanish or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. On the Russian Wikipedia page, your two nicknames are indicated as Tank and Führer. Where did that second one come from?
Some people in Argentina really call me Führer, but I don't really like it. I don't want to be called that. Here, a tank suits me in terms of physical data, power, style of play. In Russia, no one told me about the resemblance to the Führer. I hope this will not happen. In his first interview, it's already happened. Now,
Oh my god,
the
that
rest of
name.
it, the rest
Like,
of it
there's
is.
so many things, especially now that he's not performing well. You know, the Fuhrer has never been good in Russia. You know, he's not invaded any defenses. There's so many different jokes that can be made with this
made
name.
exactly. But
I think
this,
from now on the podcast, we'll only refer to him as Fuhrer. And
yeah,
you know, if people don't understand, well, they're just gonna have to come back and
they're gonna have to
listen to
come
this
back and listen
fantastic
again.
interview.
Yeah, and we'll post this clip on Twitter again. But this interview is so funny because the rest of it is just like regular football questions. Let's talk about your
Yeah,
childhood. Like,
no. The rest of the interview is boring. It's just this one part that's so
yeah.
entertaining. But like, I
And I want to know
I
how
love I
he,
love how it was built up. It was like, you know, South America has a fairly
very
high
high
crime
crime
rate.
rate.
Like, it's built up. It's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go like, you know, we're telling you that we're moving away from football. We're starting to talk about other
Yeah.
stuff. So Fuhrer, tell us about your name.
And now look at I want to know how this went down in real life. He's talking about Batistuta and who is cooler, Maradona or Messi. Next question is, tell us about when you got killed. It's like, hey, yo, calm down, yo. It's like, then after that, it just goes to, you are a PlayStation fan. Are you the Führer? No. Are you a PlayStation fan then? Okay. Yeah. It's such a strange transition. Where does this rank in all-time footballer interviews? I think this is very high.
I love also the fact that he's trying to play it off as, oh yeah, my mom just really liked this Polo player. Like,
Yeah.
he's been looking for that. I guarantee as a kid, he's been Googling all this stuff like last, 10 years. He's like, come on, like just one more famous Adolfo, someone.
Just someone who wasn't. And no one watches polo in Argentina, man. His mom was probably the only person in Argentina watching polo. And you know what?
Look, we won't make any more fun of him. He's had a hard enough life.
Oh, look, Adolfo Cambiaso, and he's an actual bloke. He's currently ranked #1 in the world. Fair enough. Wait, hold up. We need to see when he actually started. Started when he was 15 years
Okay.
of age.
Oh, hang on. World Finals in 94, 97, 98. So when was Gaich born? Probably like 90,
This is
97.
investigative journalism of
See, I
science.
don't. Yeah, like 99. Okay, I
99.
can kind of. Jesus, he's younger than me. He looks about 10 years older than me.
This
Anyway,
scary looking man.
yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, maybe Adolfo is, his mom is really proper polo fan.
Maybe.
Yeah. And moving on, sadly, there's not actually been that much to discuss on the pitch. I think we've covered most of the things. We're going to get into the international break in a minute. But we've had a couple of high-profile injuries this week in Russian football. Sadly, one was Dmitry Barinov, who got his ACL torn in the game against Spartak. And just last week, we mentioned how he was one of the most underrated players in the league. So this is quite sad. And Loko also have Miranchuk out, like we mentioned earlier in the episode. Artem, how do you think this is going to impact Lokomotiv for the rest of the season? And do you think they're going to have to spend more money, even more than they've already spent?
I think they should, but I don't think they will. It's such a shame to see him be out injured. I think he's going to be gone until, I think I heard, March or so.
Yeah.
He's a massive loss to that team. He's a fantastic player. One of my
Yeah.
favorite players to watch in the Russian league. He just does so much hard work, and I think it's definitely going to leave a hole in their midfield. Kerzhakov is going to probably have to, fill that role a little bit more than he usually does. Usually Barinov gives him the freedom to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously now he's going to have to cover a little bit more. But yeah, wishing Barinov all the strength and health in the world, because he is one of the best players in the league, one of the best defensive players in the league for sure.
Of course, I think it's going to be quite a big loss for Lokomotiv, like I said. And sending out 11 players to Sebastian Driussi as well, who got injured quite badly in the game, like we mentioned earlier, and he might be out for 6 or 7 months according to preliminary tests, which is going to be a huge loss for Zenit. Probably going to have to like cover with Mostovoy or Rigoni or some other player who's not as good as Driussi. So sending our love out to them as well as Miranchuk. We hope he gets his transfer to Atlanta. Now, last thing we got to cover is these games against Serbia and Hungary. Now, the way the Nation League works, if anybody has forgotten, which I was one of them, is that basically there's 4 tiers and Russia are in the second tier. And I think the group contains 3 or 4 teams. The team that finishes top of the group goes to the first league, and the team that finishes bottom of the group goes to the third league. Russia are going to play Serbia and Hungary. Artem, what do you think of these games? Just off, what do you think? Do you think they'll be tough games? Do you think Russia will win both of them? What do you think?
I think they're going to be tough games. Is the both of those teams are in our group, right?
Yeah.
In Russia's group. Yeah, so I think then Russia will get 4 points out of those games. Probably 1 against Serbia and 3 against Hungary. And the reason I say that is because the reason I say that with such confidence is because the Russian league is one of the only ones that's in full flow already.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of Serbian players, I don't know about the Hungarian players, but a lot of the Serbian players, they won't be as 100% as the Russian players, if that makes sense. So I think Russia will do well. Obviously, I would have preferred if we had the younger squad with a lot of the players that was in the under-21s, but
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why we shouldn't win at least one of the 2 games, and a draw on the other would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hungary should be beatable. They've got a couple of decent players, but I think Russia's squad overall is better. Serbia, I think, would be a very tough game because the quality in that team is very high. Turkey, by the way, is the other club in Russia's group. It'll be an interesting game. Might see Dmitry Tarasov back from retirement for that one. But I think the Serbia game might be tough. I think Russia could lose that one, but Hungary probably. I think 4 points is a fair estimate. But how do you feel about the international break? Because after it's over, we get all the other leagues back in action. But like it is a 10-day international break. That's always horrible. So what are your thoughts on the international break just to round off?
Yeah, I mean, it's necessary. Like, you have to have international breaks if you're going to have international football. I always love watching Russia play, to be honest. Like, I always think it's great to see, all the players who play for rival sides, linking up. Like, it's going to be nice to see Golovin back.
Yeah.
To be honest, I personally enjoy the international play break, especially when there's something to play for. And now with the Nation League, there really is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to look forward to both games. I'll definitely watch both of them. And what was your second question?
No, I think that was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I think it'll be a nice break as well for club football because we've had like ever since it came back in May, it's just been game every 3 days, game every 3 days. So it'll be a small sort of breather.
The Russian league, especially, I'm finding it so hard to keep up. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much going on. It would be like Saturday, Sunday fixtures, and Tuesday, Wednesday fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I haven't even had time to digest the other games. Like, it's so hard to even talk about form because things are changing so quickly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, is the Russian league going to be as hectic when it comes back? Do you know?
I don't know. I think they've cut off checking at the moment, but I think they've cut off 2 weeks off the winter break, so it's gonna start a week later, and
Okay.
it's gonna no. It seems to be usual, so there'll be just a game on the weekends.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good news. So
Well, in terms of entertainment, it might not be the best news, but definitely, yeah, I think it's the best thing for the league.
yeah, we'll have the other leagues back though. We'll have like the Premier League and Bundesliga and La Liga. Everything starts and the Europe Champions League and stuff start in October. So
Yeah, to be honest, like that would be nice. Like I like watching all the other leagues, but at the same time, like for me, the Russian league, that's the league I watch the most. So it's
yeah,
not going to make too much of a difference. Like I'll watch a Premier League game here and there. Champions League, I love to watch. Europa League, I love to watch. But
yeah.
you know, The
Champions League.
RPL is number one.
Champions League, because Champions League this year usually it's like there's a game every fortnight, every second week, but this year it's going to be just league game, Champions League. Like it's 6 straight weeks of Champions League football in the group stages. So that's going to probably
Shit, really?
yeah, that's going to take a
That's
toll on Zenit and stuff.
that's going to be interesting actually, because maybe then that's even better for teams like Sochi and Dinamo. Maybe that's going to actually be the difference of why they make it into Europe or they don't.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
yeah.
When is the draw for the? I know Zenit are going straight into the groups. When is the draw for the rounds that I think Krasnodar have to go through?
Yeah, I think Krasnodar are gonna play like Benfica or one of those clubs.
Oof.
Dinamo get drawn with. I think Dinamo's draw is the day after tomorrow or something. Hold up, just pulling that up in a second. Champions League playoff round gets drawn on the. Oh wow, that's actually like 3 days. 1st of September. That's actually.
Oh, and then yeah, the Champions League's on the 20th of October. That's when it starts. That's really late. Like obviously, I
Mm-hmm.
understand why, but Jesus.
Yeah, so like Krasnodar most probably will play Benfica because Benfica this year they've got Cavani and Vertonghen and stuff, so that's going to be a very tough game for them. But
I don't mind if they get knocked out by that. To be honest, like I wouldn't mind seeing Krasnodar in the Europa League. I think they could do better in that. Like I feel like if they get into the Champions League, they could just get smashed. Whereas in the Europa League, they might get out of the group and get to maybe like the quarterfinals or something.
yeah, well, to be fair, we thought that last year and they got knocked out by Espanyol, and
Yeah, but listen, this year is different.
this year is our year.
Yeah, this year is our year,
This
is
year
what I
is our
say
year.
about every single year for
Exactly.
Russian football in Europe.
Yeah. But I think that rounds off the podcast quite nicely. If you want to, hop on the podcast, we'll probably do some different sort of discussions, get a couple of guests on for the international break because the leagues
Yeah,
are
that's a
going to
good
be
shout,
on.
actually.
Yeah, so if you want to get involved, leave us a comment, leave us a DM on Twitter or anything.
Yeah,
Follow us.
if
Yeah, go on.
no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought that you were kind of doing an so I was gonna jump in, but you actually had stuff to say, so I'll let you
Nah,
finish off.
I was just saying follow us on Twitter, comment on YouTube, like, subscribe, whatever. And that's it, essentially. Get involved in any way. And we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, let us know if there's anything that you want us to discuss, any topics. Like Hanu said, if you want to come on the podcast, drop us a message. Yeah, like, subscribe. If you enjoyed, let us know. If you didn't enjoy, let us know
Let
as
us
well.
know. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it from me anyway.
Yeah. And that's pretty nice, I think.